She invited me to a family cookout. It was a surprise wedding with an officiant, white dress, and photographer. I said no. Then her mom sent me an invoice. Quick intro, I'm 31M in Durham, North Carolina. My now ex-girlfriend, 29F, tried to surprise us. Marry me at Jordan Lake with 80 chairs, a rented arch, and a cousin playing Ed Sheeran on a Bluetooth speaker. Main story, Chelsea and I met at a Durham Bulls game 2 summers ago because her friend knocked her beer into my lap and then tried to use that as a meet cute. It worked. We ended up at a late-night Waffle House, and she told me she was a second-grade teacher who could do a headstand. I told her I do marketing for a local credit union and can barely touch my toes. We split a pecan waffle and a plate of hash browns, scattered, smothered, covered, because we were trying on the idea of us. She's one of those people who turns errands into our little adventure. Target's run? We're holding hands, getting a candle that smells like mountain air, buying a green throw we don't need. Her family's from outside Burlington, close enough for Sunday lunch, far enough you can't just drop in without a reason. Church every week, potlucks that require a spreadsheet, everyone bringing a casserole and a comment. They took to me because I could fix a wobbly table with a folded napkin and remember Aunt Brenda's dog's name. Early on, we did the big talk, marriage, kids, timelines. I said I saw marriage eventually, wanted kids if life lined up, and didn't think a timeline was holy. She said by 30 with a little laugh that wasn't a laugh. We were 29 and 27 then. It felt like plenty. Her mom, Pam, is the kind of Southern person who says bless your heart only when she's mad. Her dad, Leon, runs a landscaping business and has forearms like a statue and opinions like highway guardrails. They like to ask me if I was serious, and I'd say, I'm serious about your collards, and Chelsea would kick my ankle under the table. We did therapy on our own before any of this blew up. I had a long relationship before Chelsea that ended painfully. She had an engagement at 24 that turned into a storage unit of shame and a refused deposit. We brought those ghosts in the front door and talked to them. I thought we were doing the work. She started a Pinterest board called Someday in January. Dresses, barns, charming DIY altars. I made a spreadsheet called Down Payment with a number that was depressingly smaller than the cost of a wedding barn. We talked about venues and mortgage rates and whether you have to invite second cousins you've never met. I said, let's buy a starter house and do a backyard thing later. She said, or both, like I was being stingy with dreams. In March, I got a text from Chelsea, family cookout next Saturday at Jordan Lake. Mom says be there at 4, bring cornhole. Totally normal. Pam throws just because cookouts like it's cardio. I said yes and asked if I should bring potato salad. She said, bring yourself, with a winky face that I didn't read as anything. The week was weird in a way I chalked up to spring allergies and my brain. Chelsea got cagey about Saturday afternoon. She bought a white sundress. She had her nails done just for fun and asked me oval or square, like I knew. She asked me to get a haircut and shave. You look good, Scruffy, she said, but normal good is fine too. I should have heard the theme music. I didn't. Saturday came cloudless and a little hot. I packed cornhole, a cooler with cheerwine and sweet tea, a bag of ice and sunscreen because I grew up with a mom who finishes every plan with, and don't forget your sunblock. Chelsea was in a sundress and sneakers, hair pulled back, a little makeup, but not event makeup. She looked like a person in a summer movie. She looked happy in a way that made my chest soft. We pulled up to the shelter they always rent, and my stomach did a weird flip. There were rows of white folding chairs facing a rented arch wrapped in eucalyptus and white roses. There were big letters CNC propped against a tree. There was a cousin in a floral dress doing a sound check on a Bluetooth speaker, and it was Ed Sheeran, thunder god of wedding aisles. There was an older man in a suit standing near the arch holding a leather folder in the way officiants hold leather folders. Surprise! Pam yelled, and 80 people clapped. Some had their phones out. I stood there holding a cornhole board and a bag of ice like a prop in a prank. I looked at Chelsea. She bit her lip and nodded, eyes wide, like, "Isn't this the best?" My blood went cold and hot so fast I felt dizzy. "What is this?" I said, quiet in the middle of a lot of noise. "Chelsea, what is this?" She smiled with her teeth and whispered, "I knew you'd freak a little. It's okay. Just breathe. We don't have to sign anything today. It's just our people. We can do vows, make it real, or call it an engagement party. It's flexible." "What?" I said, because my brain is a slow toaster sometimes. "We have the pastor, but he can do a commitment ceremony," she whispered. "We already talked to him about wording. It's not legal unless we go to the courthouse Monday. We can keep your spreadsheet safe. I thought everyone will be so happy. You hate planning. I planned." Her mom swooped in, perfumed and mission ready. "Sweetie, look at this," she said to me, gesturing toward the arch like the ark. "We did most of it ourselves. DIY. Can you believe the florals? Costco, honey. Costco and a vision." Pam hugged me. It felt like a net. "This girl loves you," she said into my ear. "Sometimes men need a little push." I felt old panic knocking on the door. My last relationship ended with a lot of shoulds. My therapist and I had rehearsed the sentence I needed if I ever felt cornered. "I am not consenting to this. It sounds formal until you need it, then it's a rope." "I am not consenting to this," I said out loud, not quiet. The cousins stopped testing the speaker. People turned. It was like dropping a glass in a restaurant. Chelsea's face did that smile frown thing where you keep the corners up because you're on camera. "Babe," she said through teeth, "we talked about this. We talked about someday." "Someday," I said. "Not today." Her mom's smile froze. "This is so embarrassing," she hissed, still smiling for the crowd. "Do not humiliate my daughter." It's wild how someone can use the word humiliate like a little knife. Leon, who wears suits like their costumes for funerals and court dates, appeared next to me. Respectfully, Chelsea let out a sound like the beginning of a sob turned into a laugh. "You're being dramatic," she whispered, voice shaking. "This is for us." "This is for a photo," I said. "Maybe also for your mom." The pastor cleared his throat and said, "We can always do a blessing instead of vows. A blessing is nice," in his polite pastor voice. My brain registered his hands. He had a wedding band with a nick in it. He seemed tired in a way that made me like him, even in the moment. People started whispering. The word vows traveled like a leaf in the wind. Vows? Vows? My friend Martin, who I invited because he knows how to eat potato salad and mind his business, stood up, nodded at me, and then started stacking chairs because he is not built for watching a train wreck. Bless him! I walked away from the arch because my legs needed to prove they still belonged to me. I went to the truck under the excuse of getting the cornhole bags I was still holding. Chelsea followed. "Please don't do this," she said, tears now, makeup perfect because she is a person who buys setting spray. Cry number one. Everyone has a cry number one. "We can do a party," I said. "I'll flip burgers. I will sit on a cooler and talk to your uncles. I will not do a ceremony." "I bought a dress," she said, like she was giving me an update on the weather. "It's in the car. Please, please, please." "You did this to me," I said, and I shouldn't have said it that way, but the heat in my chest wanted a target. "You invited me to a cookout and set up a trap." "It's not a trap if we agree," she said. "We're agreeing. Right now. We paid for the food. We paid for the chairs. The photographer is a friend. We can't undo it. We can just do it." "I'm not a deposit you're trying not to lose," I said. I put the cooler back in the bed of the truck because I needed to move something heavy. The cousin started playing something that wasn't Ed Sheeran to fill the air, and then stopped because no one was walking. A child started crying. I did what men sometimes do when they're about to cry. I got quiet and walked. I got in my truck, sat for a second, then drove out of the lot. Not fast. Slow, like a parade of one. I went to the BP down the road and sat in the lot and ate a bag of peanuts with those little red skins and stared at the gas prices because numbers are soothing when your life is a balloon losing air. My phone exploded. Chelsea, come back. Please. Throw it at the door. He wrote back, copy. I laughed and then cried and then stopped crying because a guy in a lifted truck parked next to me and turned his music up like a warning. I drove home. On the way, I stopped at Cookout and got a peach milkshake because I'm a North Carolina cliche and also because milkshakes make sadness feel manageable for 7 minutes. Small USA. Local sentence. Sunrise on the Eno River makes you think better thoughts. When I got home, Martin had left me a plate wrapped in foil with a Sharpie on top. I saw 3 kinds of casseroles. I picked the one with Ritz crackers because I love you. I ate it sitting on my floor because I couldn't bring myself to pick a chair. Then I slept for 20 minutes like you sleep after someone's shouted in your ear. At 8 p.m., Pam sent me an invoice via email. Subject, reimbursement. PA system, $100. Pastor honorarium, $200. Food split, $600. Photographer, friend rate, $250. Total due, $1,800. Zelle acceptable. She had attached a PDF with a clip art bouquet and Times New Roman like she'd Googled invoice template. I stared at it. Then I laughed. Then I felt the anger crawl up my neck like heat. Chelsea texted me 10 minutes later, ignore mom, and please call me. Then, I'm so humiliated. Then I did this for us. I wrote back, you did this to me because apparently I needed to make the point twice in one day. Update 1, 2 days later, I slept like a rock dropped in a lake that first night. In the morning, I wrote the pastor an email. I appreciate your kindness yesterday. I'm sorry for any awkwardness. I didn't consent to a ceremony. Please know I did not intend to disrespect you. He replied an hour later, you made the right decision for you. I don't perform surprise weddings. I was told this was a commitment blessing. I'm sorry you were put in that position. And Pam texted me, we will be taking this to small claims. I replied, please do. I called a friend who's a paralegal and asked if there's a category for surprise wedding reimbursement. He laughed and said, heart bomb torts are mostly dead. Also, you didn't contract for services. Also, what in the world? Chelsea came by my place at lunchtime. She had the kind of puffy eyes that make you feel like a criminal. She held Tupperware like a peace offering. I made you chicken spaghetti, she said. I didn't know what else. We sat on my stoop because inside felt too much like inside. She apologized in paragraphs. I thought it would be romantic, she said. My mom said you'd love not having to plan. She said men hate planning. She said if I just made it easy for you, you'd see. Your mom set this up, I said. I set it up, she said. I knew. She pushed. I liked being pushed. I asked if she told her mom to stop with the invoice. She said she did. Pam texted me anyway, clock's ticking. If you've never had a grown woman use late fees like a threat in your personal life, it's a very specific feeling. That night, I put it in a group chat with some friends because if you don't give your ridiculous life to people who know you, your brain will write a worse story. My friend Anna, the one with a lawyer brain and a therapist heart, said, document, ask them to stop contacting you except through email, do not engage with a fake invoice, do not get married at a cookout. I told her I had nailed 1 out of 4. Chelsea's dad called me and said, come talk, which I didn't want to do, but I also didn't want to let the only story in their house be the one where I'm the villain of Pam's summer. I drove over. Leon met me in the driveway like we were about to trade baseball cards. He looked tired. That was a mess, he said. I said, yes. I should have shut it down, he said. I told Pam this wasn't smart. She said she'd make it pressure-free. He shook his head. Women love a surprise. Men hate a surprise. That's a generalization. It's also true in this house. Pam stepped out with a dish towel on her shoulder already in mid-sentence. We could have called it an engagement party, she said. Your face was so mean. You ever have someone describe your face? I do not recommend. Please stop invoicing me, I said. This is the last time I'm asking nicely. She rolled her eyes, which I thought only teenagers could do with that level of talent. We'll see you in court, she said. Leon winced. On the way out, I hugged Chelsea. We both cried like people who would be better if they hadn't met each other right now. She said, I'm sorry, into my shirt, and I said, I know, into her hair. Update 2, 2 weeks later, Pam filed in small claims. I got the notice in the mail, and the clerk had underlined mediation available. I laughed out loud in my kitchen like a maniac, and then put the paper on the fridge because it felt like a trophy for surviving. The hearing was set for late April. In the meantime, the internet did what the internet does, but smaller, Facebook. Someone posted photos of the arch and chairs and the caption, she said yes, and then edited it to, she will say yes soon, which is a sentence that haunts the soul. People commented hearts. Someone asked where my ring was. I didn't have a ring. We weren't engaged. That was the whole point. I didn't post anything. I didn't subtweet. I went to work, scheduled social posts for summer CDs, answered an email about a billboard with a typo, and tried not to think about being a character in someone else's romance novel. I kept getting versions of the same text from Chelsea. We can fix this. How do I make it right? Can we do a tiny ceremony in September? I told her I needed space and time, and I meant etymological space and geological time. Small USA. Local note, get a chopped pork plate at picnic in Durham and sit under the tree. There's a breeze there that feels like a secret. The day of court, Anna came with me and brought a folder like we were in a TV show. Pam wore a skirt suit. Leon came in jeans and a ball cap and took it off like his mama raised him. Chelsea didn't come because she wasn't party to the suit, which made me both relieved and weirdly empty. Pam presented her invoice. The judge, who looked like he could fix your tractor and your marriage, asked, was there a contract? Pam said he knew. The judge said, did he sign anything? Pam said we had a Facebook event, like that was binding. The judge asked me to speak. I said I was invited to a cookout. The gallery of 6 people, one guy there for a speeding ticket, laughed like they shouldn't but had to. The judge said, this is not a legally enforceable obligation. Denied. Pam huffed sadly in the way you huff when you don't get your way but still want to be the hero of your own story. Outside, Leon shook my hand and mouthed sorry in the same motion. Pam sent me an email later that day that said, you should be ashamed, and I set up a filter that sent anything from her into a folder called noise. Update 3, 1 month later, Chelsea and I tried to do a walk and talk on the trail by the Eno because our therapist said sometimes your mouth works better when your feet do. We walked. We talked. It was civil until we got to a footbridge, and she said, just wear a ring for a while. We can announce later. We can do like a soft engagement. I stopped and leaned on the rail and watched a turtle do something turtly and felt my chest tighten. You keep trying to make me a prop, I said, not unkind. I don't want to be your idea of a fiancé. I want to be mine. We broke up on that bridge without yelling. She cried, and it was cry number 2, shoulders and hiccups. I cried small, ugly, like a sneeze you didn't approve in advance. We walked back to the parking lot, not touching, and said, take care, which is the grown-up version of I love you when you don't. A week later, she left a bag on my doormat, my hoodie, a mug, a photo strip of us in a booth at the state fair holding a turkey leg and looking like we were cousins. She left a note that said, "I'm sorry," and a PS, "You left your cornhole bags in my car. I kept them." It felt symbolic. It made me laugh. It made me want to throw a beanbag at the sky. Pam posted a quote on Facebook, "If he wanted to, he would." My aunt commented, "If he wanted to, he wouldn't have been ambushed." My aunt always had my back. She also brings deviled eggs to everything and puts paprika on like confetti. Update 4, 3 months later, I didn't plan to date. Then life did that thing where it hands you a normal person at a normal place. Her name is Tasha. She works in the kitchen at a place on 9th Street and can dice an onion like a magician. We met because I spilled barbecue sauce on my shirt and she handed me a Tide pen. I carry one now, growth. We laughed. We fell into talking about dog allergies and the best place to get hush puppies. She said, "Alan and Son, the old one," and I said, "Marry me," and then we both flinched because my mouth outran my history. "A joke," I said quickly. She smirked. "We'll see." I told her the short version around day 3 because secrets feel like sand. She said, "So you were surprised, married, deadpan, and then do you like your coleslaw with vinegar or mayo?" The relief I felt was like finding out your favorite song has a clean version. Chelsea texted me once in August, "I saw you at full steam. You looked happy." I wrote back, "I am." She sent a heart. That's it. I saw Pam at Harris Teeter near the rotisserie chickens. She glared in a way that would wilt arugula. I said, "Hi, Miss Pam," and she said, and then knocked a stack of paper towels into her cart like it was my fault. I called my mom and told her, and she said, "Go to Food Lion next time." Like that was strategy. Moms. Small USA. Local sentence. Biscuitville on a weekday morning makes a bad night better, especially if you get spicy chicken and a Jeer wine and sit in your car. Final update, 8 months later. It's been 8 months since the lake. If you're skimming, she tried to surprise marry me. I said no. Her mom invoiced me. I went to court. We broke up. I'm okay. I feel weirdly grateful for the clarity. You think you're going to be haunted by a bunch of what-ifs. It turns out you're mostly haunted by the small details, how the arch smelled like eucalyptus, how the chairs made that plastic scrape, how Ed Sheeran turned into silence. Those pass. The big lesson stays. Any relationship that requires an ambush to secure it is not a relationship that can hold you. Tasha is a nice person in the way that feels like water in August. We do normal things. Go to the farmer's market, buy a tomato, argue about which peach is better like it matters. She makes fun of my spreadsheet. I make fun of her notes app full of recipes and ratty grocery lists. We're slow. We talk about future like adults who like it, but don't kiss it on the mouth in public. I still get a little bit of a panic buzz at the word surprise. She knows. She texts me details like weather reports. It's funny and also medicine. Surprise, she wrote once, voice to text, and then, surprise, we're going to get ice cream. That's the whole surprise. I'm relearning delight. I don't wish Chelsea ill. I hope she marries someone who loves a plan and a reveal and an arch. I hope she tells him. I hope he says yes on purpose. Pam posted a Christmas photo with all the grandkids in matching pajamas and a caption about God's timing. I scrolled past it and then scrolled back and looked at the tree skirt and thought, nice tree skirt. That's where I want to live, observations that don't bite. Leon sent me a text at New Year's. You were right to say no, son. Happy New Year. I sat in my car and cried some more, quick, like weather, because a father calling you son when he doesn't have to is a weirdly tender thing. If you're reading this and someone is trying to turn a party into your vows without your mouth making those promises first, you don't owe them performance. You owe yourself the truth. Say no. The world won't shatter. It will be loud for a minute, Then it will get quiet in a way that feels like a room you get to arrange in the small USA local spirit. If you're in Durham and need a soft place, grab a donut at Early Bird, sit on the curb, and watch people walk. They're deeply loved but badly trained dogs. The universe doesn't care if you're married or not. It cares if you feed yourself, call your mom, tip your barista, and don't lie to people you want to spend Sundays with. I drove out to Jordan Lake in October, right when the water looks like glass and the sky tries on a better color. I parked near the same shelter by accident. There was a kid's birthday party, balloons, cheap pizza, the sound of a kid laughing so hard he hiccuped. I sat in my truck and drank a gas station coffee and thought, I'm okay. Then I walked down to the edge and skipped 5 flat rocks because that felt like an accomplishment. If anything wild happens, I'll update. I hope I never have to. I hope my life is so boring it's just me, a grilled cheese that's perfect because the pan was the right level of hot, a woman who thinks a surprise is a pint of ice cream, and a Sunday afternoon that doesn't require a speech. Postscript, because someone will ask, Pam never apologized. She did, however, stop emailing when my noise filter started auto-replying with a photo of a corgi wearing a bow tie and the text, "This inbox is unattended." Leon laughed when I told him. He said, "That's petty." I said, "That's safety." He said, "Same thing sometimes." Take care of your no. It's how you make room for your yes. And if you're hauling cornhole to a cookout, glance under the picnic shelter for an arch. If there's an arch, go get a milkshake first. Then decide if you're walking toward it. You'll know. Your chest will tell you. Listen to it. It doesn't do invoices. It does peace.